Jetzt haben wir den Jeremy, den zweiten Applikationsingenieur von UltiMaker zu Gast. Der hat vorher gesagt, das Deutsch lässt sehr zu wünschen übrig, deswegen wollen wir ihm heute auf Holländisch zuhören. Und nee, er spricht Englisch und ich bin schon richtig gespannt, was wir jetzt hören zum Thema UltiMaker Cura und freue mich auf die Masterclass mit Jeremy. Jeremy, thank you that you took your time for the meeting today. Really appreciate it to have you here to step in for Johan. I think we all accept your English yeah, thank you very much. We are really thrilled to hear everything from you.
Cool. No problem. Indeed, my German colleague Johan, he called in sick. So last minute, I was called to take up this presentation, also this masterclass. But the good thing is that I also work quite some time at UltiMaker, currently almost 8 years, and I basically have the same role as Johan. So I'm an application engineer. And what that basically means is that I talk a lot to customers, but also to our resellers on everything that you can basically do with our 3D printers. But currently also we offer other things than only 3D printers, so everything on the preparation side, on the slicer, what I'm going to talk about today, but also on our whole cloud platform, the digital factory, which I will also highlight a bit. And later on, I will also do a small talk about materials and then the high temperature resistant materials in particular. As I said, let's dive in. First of all, what we have asked our customers is what really are the key drivers of the UltiMaker ecosystem. So what we hear a lot is, of course, the ease of use of our printers. So we really design our printers to be accessible by everyone. So also when we train new companies in remote areas, maybe even in Africa, of course, education of some people can be problematic. So we also need to make sure that these operators are able to operate the printers and really have these new skill sets and really have these benefits of 3D printing also in those more remote areas. We shall also see reliability. So people using UltiMaker machines, they really see that reliability is really a key pillar of the UltiMaker ecosystem. Part quality, of course, not only with the basic materials, but also we are really focusing on the more technical materials, because there we can see that we can really have this opportunity to print high quality and also really these more critical materials on our system, let's say. The material flexibility, so of course our open material platform. You don't have to buy our UltiMaker materials. You can also buy all the other third-party materials that are available in 2.85. If the melting point is in the range of the extruder, you can definitely print it on our system. And we already have more than 300 materials in our marketplace, which you can just download the print profiles and get started right away. And also number 5 is, of course, UltiMaker Cura. So that's also a big part of our offering. And it's our free slicer software used by a lot of users because it's also easy to use and also offers quite some advanced features. Well, here you see some of the parts that we are currently focusing on with 3D printing on our S line, but also on our new Factor 4 line, of course. Because with the launch of our newest product, the UltiMaker Factor 4, we're really focusing on more of the industrial and professional market. And of course, if you switch from like this already beginning professional era, then to more industrial, there are different requirements, for example, also for the machine. But still, we want this ease of use throughout all of our printers. Here you just see a loop of everything that we are currently offering, also with the new Factor 4. It begins, for example, with Cura, of course. We're going to dive in that. Also a new user interface, the automated material handling has been improved, because now with the Factor 4, you can only print from our material station. So also we want to really make sure that everybody can print any type of material from the material station. If it's like a highly filled carbon fiber or a PPS with carbon fibers, it needs to be printable with our automated material handling station. Of course, actively heated build volume is of course a necessity for more industrial printers. We still have our print cores. Also, if you're coming from an older system, UltiMaker 3 maybe, you can still use those print cores in the UltiMaker Factor 4. So it's also backward compatible. We have now direct drive, which is really nice for all materials, but also the flexible materials in particular. A whole new designed motion gantry for lightweight and also eventually for speed. Because of course, UltiMaker systems are known for delivering a certain machine. And then over the years, we're expanding the capabilities of making it more precise, higher quality, higher speed. So you can definitely expect it from the Factor 4 as well. New materials, PPS with carbon fiber, so really temperature resistant material. And also we are coming up with a POM-like material for really the wear resistant applications. In the industrial market, you also see that verification or certification is also getting more important. So we integrated print process reporting. So when you do a print on the Factor 4, for example, you will get a report in the PDF if there are any conflicting parameters or that something happens during the print. You will see this in the report and really validate if the part has been printed correctly or not. And the whole architecture is designed to be modular. So also taking in mind that you're not going to ship a 120 kilo printer back and forth if something it needs to be replaced. So we made everything modular. So all the different modules, they can basically taken out with either loosening 1 or 2 or 4 screws. You can basically insert a new material station, a gantry, a new air filtration unit. So it's really modular and really focusing on the whole modularity, repairability, what's important, of course, in the industrial section. But let's talk about Cura. So a big part is, of course, UltiMaker Cura. So that's the preparation phase. If we have a 3D model, you can still do a lot in UltiMaker Cura. Some of the people, they just use the recommended profiles, for example, or the recommended settings. But if you want, you can completely change the design and also the behavior of the part you are printing in UltiMaker Cura. So these are just some basic features that UltiMaker Cura offers, and every version that we launch, we basically add new features, or we fine-tune parameters, or we make it even better or more suitable also for our industrial customers, because they maybe have some different requirements. Sequential printing, so if you want to print everything at the same time or one at a time, which one do you want to be printed first? Which one next? You can all set that in UltiMaker Cura, so you can also have control over what is being built and in what sequence. I think the interlocking mechanism is something that is really powerful on the UltiMaker system. So with our really reliable dual extrusion capabilities, we can combine almost every material with each other. So think about a hard-soft combination, or really a stiff material with a transparent material, or a really wear-resistant material with a cheaper material. Everything is possible now with UltiMaker Cura interlocking feature. And instead of just printing it, touching each other, you really merge the two materials together, really creating a strong mechanical bond as well. Also, if you want to print higher volume batches, we have automatic arrangement of the parts. That's also a nice feature, of course. Pulse height, if you want to embed magnets, bolts, inserts, you name it, maybe even metal rods. It's all possible in our UltiMaker Cura software as well. And basically, if it is in your 3D model, you can basically tweak it. So you can add geometry, you can subtract geometry, you can basically define almost every line that is printed by the printer in UltiMaker Cura. So if you want to reinforce holes, or if you just want to have particular parts of your application being reinforced, you can do that with UltiMaker Cura. Or if you have, for example, designed your application as one part, you can still do dual extrusion also in UltiMaker Cura by defining a certain area that is then being printed with extruder number 2, for example. Or if you want to create more friction in your TPU model, you can enhance certain surface areas with the fuzzy skin, for example. So there are a lot of more advanced features as well in UltiMaker Cura. And I think not all users are aware of the powerfulness of this slicing software. And of course, if there are features that are missing, please let us know, because then in the next version, we can add those features as well. So we're very open to have that. We also have the Marketplace plugin for UltiMaker Cura. These are basically plugins made by our community. So some of the plugins we do not provide ourselves, but we have a really powerful community, which is basically also developing different kind of plugins to make it easier for new people to get basically to get started, or also the standard users to get them up to another level. So these are some of my favorite plugins, also really powerful ones. So if you are new to UltiMaker Cura, to the slicing, we have the settings guide, for example. That's a really nice one, because it basically explains of all the features of UltiMaker Cura, what it does, what kind of influence does it have on your eventually sliced model. So for new people, that's really a powerful plugin. The next one is the print job naming. Of course, different companies have different ways of naming convention. You can really specify that with the custom print job naming. You can, for example, automatically add the printer type. You can automatically add the time of printing in the name. You can also add the material, the brand, and even some of the settings you can definitely automatically generate in the naming. So when you slice your part and you save to a USB, the naming will be named after the combination that you mentioned. So later on, if you need to pass it through to an operator on the USB stick, they know exactly which material is required, which nozzles, and also how much material, and maybe even the print time that is required. So they know everything from the now of the name of the file. Another great one is the auto orientation. So whenever I get, for example, a benchmark print of a customer, or sometimes even from a reseller, I always let Cura decide what is the optimal orientation for printing my parts. All the different 3D printing technologies, of course, you have different ways to position it, orientate it. That's the same with FFF, so with the UltiMaker Factor 4. We have an example here, which is the armrest. It's also a part that is on the table at your location. So maybe you can pass that around, and then you can really see how we optimized the orientation to be printed with single extrusion, because it's just a little bit faster than printing everything with the PVA, for example, or with another support material. But with clever orientation, we can really minimize the amount of support that is needed. So we can enhance the printing speed and also reduce the total cost of this part. And the auto orientation really gives you guidance on the best orientation. So definitely I will showcase that also in the live demo. And last one, which I think is quite valuable, is the Name It plugin. There you can basically add labels, 3D, you can deboss, emboss it on your part. You can even make a dual extrusion. So here you have this recyclability logo that is automatically generated. If you select PETG as your printing material, it can automatically add these kind of labels to any surface that you select. And then you can select, okay, I want it debossed, embossed, or in a different color. So also there are a lot of different possibilities. Even if you printed a gripper and you want to have a product code on it, you can still do that in the slicer. So also different iterations, you can still do that in the slicer. You just type whatever geometry you basically want, what kind of text, and then it will automatically generate this mesh with which you can basically do the depulsing and embossing or dual extrusion. So really powerful tools in our marketplace, not by default embedded in UltiMaker Cura. That's definitely accessible by everyone because these are all free. I already mentioned with every Cura version, we basically bring something new, and also what we see with the combination of our new UltiMaker Factor 4, we really see that we are getting faster. So definitely on the Factor 4, you see a tremendous increase in printing speeds. We're not even on the highest level yet. So this is our baseline, and we can only improve in that. So currently we're already 1.5 and sometimes 2.5 times faster than the S line with the engineering materials. Not with PLA or tough PLA, but really with the engineering grade materials. So think about polycarbonates, CPE, polypropylene, PPSCF, PETCF, really the technical materials. So also there we are really advancing because of course speed is something that people are looking at. Just before I do a live demo, I also want to touch a little bit on the digital factory because we have been investing a lot of time also on our platform because we see that also our customers need a place, of course, to store their print files, collaborate with each other on teams, but maybe also even on country level. And of course, also they want to manage their fleet. Maintenance, preventative maintenance is also important, and you basically want to be in control of your production process. So with the digital factory, we bring these things together. So first of all, it's collaboration, work together on different applications, remote management, starting a print, remote monitoring, but also if the print has been removed, you want to continue printing, of course, putting prints in the queue, shift the queue, maybe even have an approval process for parts. That's all possible in the digital factory. And also security-wise, we are really diving in the cloud security and really making sure that companies can use the cloud solution in their company. We have shared workspaces. So we work with a lot of big enterprise customers. Let me just name one, for example, Heineken. They are using the digital factory to basically link all the different breweries worldwide together on this platform. So they have an overarching workspace called Heineken, for example, in which they have all these teams. We call it teams, they call it just like breweries. And all these breweries have their own team working on parts, applications, sprints. If they made a part, they want to share it, of course, with different breweries because they have the same equipment. Opening up the digital library, so where you basically have all the parts, they can now just take the part and print it on any location where it's needed. Here you have a little screenshot of this digital library. So it's really a depository or a catalog of parts being created in the organization. This is only visible for our customer. So if you have different customers, they don't see this from each other. So it's really shielded off. Of course, they can invite people, and then if they invite people, they can assign different roles and also control on what they see. Can they start a print? Yes or no? Can they even see the camera? Yes or no? Or does it just see how many parts, for example, are in the library? But I will have a quick walkthrough of this later on as well. Remote printing is also really valuable. For example, I work now from home. My print farm is in Geldermalsen, which is the headquarters of UltiMaker. And I have an operator there basically removing the prints. And basically I put everything in a queue. I prepare from home. So whenever I'm in the office and I need to ship parts to our customers or our resellers, I can do that when I'm physically there. But for the rest, all the remote management and printing I do remotely. So far, it works really, really nicely. So that's definitely also really a powerful tool. So let me just dive in this digital workflow. I have already opened up UltiMaker Cura. This is the 5.8.1 version, but we also launched the 5.9 version, which has the new method sketch print as well, and some other nice features also for the Z theme. But it's really nice to look into. But first of all, what you see is that I have my Factor 4 here, and with the blue icon, you see I'm connected with it through the cloud. I'm logged in. So anything that I do here, I can directly send to the printer. I can still save it to a USB, but I can also save it eventually directly to the digital library. And also that's something that I would like to show in this live session. So on the left side, we always work from left to right. If we want to open something, I can open it from the disk. If I want to work fully offline, that's still possible. But now I can also load in a part from the digital library. If I do that, I will basically open up a window and then I can scout through my digital library. And this has all different projects, different applications in which I can browse the ones which I need. So let's, for example, go to the gripper. Maybe it's this one. If I cannot find it, I can even type. And then I can find it as well. Grippers, yes. So here I see STL files, 3MF files. I can even upload documents, images, videos, CAD files in the digital factory. So it's also basically an online repository if somebody wants to collect all the data in there and share it with multiple other locations. So let me just open the left inner one, open, and also from the digital library, open the outer one. So now I loaded the parts from our cloud depository, the digital factory. And what I want to do now is, of course, first of all, dual extrusion. So I want to combine the PPS carbon fiber, so really the rigid material, together with a more flexible material like a TPU, to also have this flexibility that I need, for example, for this gripper. First of all, on top, because I'm connected with the cloud, I get already the combinations that are possible with the printer. So I have, for example, PPS with carbon fibers in slot number 1, but I also have like a PAKK material also in the material station. So I can also print with that one if I would like. And in the second slot, I now only have red ABS. So I can either make a combination of PPS CF with ABS red. But if I would add a TPU to it, or call the operator and put TPU blue on it, I can also do that and select the combination. But now the TPU blue is not there, but I still want to prepare my print. So I go to custom, of course, that is the PPS CF with the HT print core. That's the high temperature print core. It can go up to 350 degrees Celsius. So for the high temp materials like PPS with carbon fibers or the pack, for example, that is really printed at 330, 340 degrees. So you definitely need that print core. Let me select the UltiMaker TPU. Let's do blue. Oh, is it black? Let's just do blue. A difference in color. Blue TPU, yep. And we'll print that with a 8.8 because it's a big part. I do not need a lot of like small details. I just need volume. So let's just do blue. Now I defined the combination for the printer, but still you see that both of the parts are the same color. That's because I need to select this part and print it with the second extruder. Now you see that it's blue. I do Control A, right mouse button, and then I can do merge models. So you can see in just 2 clicks, I can combine these two models together still have the dual extrusion. So I don't have to paint on this part in order to make it dual extrusion. I can just do some clicks, and then basically based on the coordinate system of the CAD file, it will align, and then you don't have to do anything with manual placement. So that's really nice. Next thing, extensions, auto orientation, extended optimal location of orientation, that's like this. But of course, I still need to do some rotation to make sure that I print it like this. So what it does is basically minimizing the red areas with this plugin. So if I would rotate it differently, if I would put it like 180 degrees that way, of course I need a lot of material here, and only now I need to have support on this small bit here. It's already giving me suggestions for the optimal orientation. I open up my settings. So if I teach 3D printing to new companies, they of course first work with our recommended settings. We put a lot of time and effort in the printing profiles. So we have the balance one, engineering and annealing, because we have PPS carbon fiber. You can also anneal it, and we already have an optimized printing profile for it. But let's pick the engineering, because I'm making a functional application. So I actually want it to be dimensionally accurate, and also I want to, of course, make it a little bit more strong as well. So I'm not really working for a visual application. I'm really working for an engineering functional part. So I want to take the best settings for that. Of course, I can still go to the custom setup and still scroll through all the different settings that I can specify here. Maybe you want to do that, maybe you don't want to do that. The choice is definitely for you. But let me also show you, for example, the settings guide. Normally, if you hover over these settings, you directly already see like a small description of what it does. So this is basically the plugin. It opens up a new window where it basically tells you everything about all the different settings that are available in UltiMaker Cura. So if you would like to know more about UltiMaker Cura, or more in-depth, gain more knowledge on UltiMaker Cura, then it's definitely recommended to look into these settings. And also, if we add new settings with every new version, you can also read through, see what the setting actually does. So I think it's a really nice tool for beginners, or if you want to basically leverage your UltiMaker Cura skill. Let's just slice it. Let's see how long it's taking. And also, what I really recommend people using UltiMaker Cura is basically going through the preview section. So you can actually have a look on the different line types, because, yeah, for example, now I see what kind of infill it has for the flexible part and also for the rigid part. If I click on a color scheme, I can also choose, for example, material color. Then I see basically a simulation of how it's going to look like in the end. And I'm basically working iteration. So first of all, of course, I'm going to slice it in a certain way. I'm going to look how it looks. And then if I see like, hey, I want to change the infill percentage, maybe the infill pattern, you can all do that, for example, here in UltiMaker Cura. One thing I see is that I don't have support material. So of course, if I'm going to print now, this is not going to look that nice. So I'm going to enable support type, and either do normal or you can do a tree support. It really depends on the model. So this is just a flat part of a model. For this one, it works well to just do normal. I want to print the support structure with material 1. I'm not going to print support with the TPU one, the flexible material. I don't want it everywhere, because I just need from the build plate up to the parts, so touching build plate. And then we're going to slice it again and see how it looks. So now if I'm going to slice, the preview will load, and then I also have an indication of the support. Yes. So now you see here a support structure is being added. It's also black. So in this case, I would go back to the line type, because now you can see that all the helpers, let's say, so that's the adhesion, the support, the prime tower, those are helpers in the process. You can see that the support structure is now added, but I also see that it wants to add support up to these holes. Well, it actually does not need support. So there are ways to change that. And we do that with modifier meshes or support blockers. I just click on the left side support blocker. I'm just going to make a block. So this is now like a sort of a mesh, which I can make bigger. I can rotate. I can basically do a lot of things with it. What I want to do is cover the area where it's now placing support and basically say that I don't want support there. Just overlap a bit like this, just to be sure, just a bit like that. And now do like this. So this area covering the part will not have support because I say it's a support blocker. So if I would slice it now, you would see that the support is being removed in that area. You see, now the support, which is normally printed up here, is now gone. Now I really already did a optimization. So it's going to be printing faster. And of course, I say some material for the support as well. But with this modifier mesh, I can do a lot more. So if I click my model, I do like, again, sort of support blocker. This is basically called like a modifier mesh. And there are different options for this mesh. So usually we do the don't support overlap. So that's the support blocker. I can also say modify settings for the overlap. So if I'm going to do that, you can select infill mesh only, or you want to do a cutting mesh. And with the infill mesh only, it's usually only for the infill of the part. So if you want to have in a local area of your part, you want to have like a solid infill or maybe a 30% infill instead of 10, you can do that really localized with the infill percentage only. Let me just see. Pattern. Oops. Infill pattern. Okay. Then I can say now it's triangles, but maybe I want to do like a gyroid. Let me just make this cube a bit bigger. And now I want to say, okay, this part is for the TPU. So with extruder number 2. So if I would slice it, this would have like a cross 3D pattern. And this overlapping area should now have gyroid. So let's see if it's now changing. Again, I go to my preview step. Yeah. So now you see the overlapping part of this mesh is gyroid infill, and the rest is like the normal infill that is specified here for extruder number 2. You can really do localized adjustments in UltiMaker Cura. So you don't have to create a different body in the CAD and cut it up into sections and merge it here. You can really do that or in UltiMaker Cura. So if I go here to this one, and then say, for example, select extra settings, I can do infill. Let's do infill density. Let's say this part needs some extra rigidity. I'll do it 100% infill. Then I'm going to slice it. And then that area of the gripper should have like solid infill, and the rest will have like a soft infill. So you can really basically have a lot of control over that. And in some cases, of course, it's necessary. But sometimes it's also maybe an overkill or not needed or anything. now I change it, for example, to lines. If I'm going to do gyrate 100%, it still wants to do some kind of gyrate. But if we're going to do lines, then it should just be completely solid. Yeah. So here you see that all the lines are now there. If I change the extruder type to 1, that's of course also possible. Then we will see that that area of the GPU part will now be printed with PPS. Then we change back to material color, and then you see the inside here is now PPS with carbon fibers. If I'm going to do it a cutting mesh, then everything will be basically the PPS-CF within this this cutting mesh. So now also the outer walls should be also visible as PPS-CF. And these tools are by default in UltiMaker Cura. So now you see indeed that this part, overlapping part with the model, is now printing everything in PPS-CF. And then if you put this on a USB stick and then send it over to the printer, it will automatically do the switching between the nozzles, basically do everything itself. So that's a really nice and neat feature. So let's say I did some changes, I removed this, and okay, this is the part that I have prepared, either for my own print or maybe even for a colleague in on the other side of the world. I slice it, and then of course, usually if I'm going to use the printer, I'm going to save it on a USB stick and then go to the printer and start it. But let's say now I want to do like the digital workflow. Here you can either print it via the cloud, or you can save it to the disk, or you can save it to the library. And if I click Save to Library, it opens again this window from which I basically retrieved the STL files. I can give it a name. So let's say Gripper Assembly. I can also change the library project if I'm in the wrong project, let's say. And here I can save only the Cura project file, which I can change afterwards, or the MakerBot print file if I'm going to print it on like a MakerBot sketch, for example. Or I can select Save Cura project file and UFB file. So the UFB file is the print file. I cannot make any adjustments, but what I can do is directly print remotely with that file. And the UltiMaker Cura project file is something that another colleague can open. They can choose different materials based on what they have available. And then I can basically save it. And now it saves this Cura project file. So later on, maybe I want to do some adjustments. Maybe I want to change the PPS-CF, which might be an overkill for this part, to like a PET-CF. I can still do that. I can open it, the same configuration which I have now in UltiMaker Cura. It will all set it according to what I've saved. So that's really convenient. And also my print file. So let's go to the digital factory. I'm going to click Open Project. Then I go to the web browser and basically I go to the project file where I saved it. So here you also see all the other files. So here you see the Gripper assembly as well. That's the project file. Or you still see my screen? So that's good. So that's really neat. So here you see the overview of the digital factory. This is the home page. So here I can see my print jobs, which are currently running. I can also see my printers, if they are finished or if they are printing or if they are ready to print. The printer tab. Again, I see my printers, but I can do more. I can, for example, click on my printer. And then I have the dashboard of this printer. I see a camera representation. So this is the facet knob that I'm printing now. You also have that on the table there. So maybe you can give it around. It's printed in PPS-CF as well. It's going to be probably the giveaways which we give away at Formnext. So if you are there, come and say hi to me. I'll be there. And also you can take a sample print of this. Okay, that's good. So you can give some away. We see the status. We can pause it. We can even abort it if we want to. But now everything goes really well, so I'm not going to do that. A little overview of the Cura preview, of course, who also initiated the print. The queue, I have nothing in my queue, but of course, if this one is finished, I want to directly start with another print if it's going to be empty by my colleague. So let's say I want to reprint this part which has been printed, and you see in my print history all the other prints that I've made, also with the hardware setup, also the materials when it's finished. And if I click it, I get even more details, submitted by whom, when it's submitted, the print time, the machine, the grams, and also the setup, for example. And also you can download the project file, and you can also download the print job ID. I can go to the print settings. I see which Cura version has been used, which print mode, the layer height, some of the settings that have been used, and also chamber temperature, for example, and extruder temperature. I can also here fill in some notes, for example, and save it. I can either write, for example, this is a really nice and successful print, or something else that I would like to mention. You can definitely do that in here. You can also remove it from history. Maybe it's a aborted print and you just want to have it out of your print history. You can do that. You can copy it to the library. So maybe you just did a test print, but you say, oh, this is a really nice print. I want to save it in my library. So later on, I can reprint that one, for example. You can now copy it to a library project file. So you can also manage still the print files afterwards, after printing. And of course, I can reprint. If I click reprint, it's going to look for printers that are available with that material in combination. So I directly see the Alt F4. If I'm going to click on this one, I now see that the print was sent to Alt F4. I can go to the print queue, or I can just click it again. Maybe I want 3 sets, and I just click it 3 times. If I go out, you see now here, there are 2 in the queue. So after this print job is done, the user needs to, of course, go to the printer, remove the parts, put in the empty build plate, and then click on confirm removal. And then it's going to automatically pick, for example, the next material. Maybe the operator did not click confirm removal. The build plate is clear because I can see it on the camera, but he didn't click on confirm removal. So it's not automatically starting the next print. Then still, I, from a remote location, have the possibility to, for example, here, state that the build plate is clear. If I do that, then the printer retrieves this notification. Okay, user clicked on build plate's clear. Then it will start printing the next print job in the queue. So also if somebody forgets it, you still have the control to do that. I can identify the printer, it's gonna flash. I can hold the print queue. So if he says confirm removal, but maybe the build plate is not really clean yet, maybe there's some leftover support material or brim, I can hold the print queue. So it's gonna hold until the operator has basically did everything that is needed, and then he can manually say, okay, start the print job. So there's a lot of flexibility in here. You can download the print job report, you can abort, pause, and reprint. You can also share, for example, the printer with the different teams in a workspace. So if you have your printer in Germany and you want to shield it off from the rest of your organization, for example, you can also do that, or you can share it. We have a maintenance tab. You can send some notes of the printer, where it's located, for example, or where the spare parts can be found. Then we also see a scheduled maintenance, where you can basically say, okay, I cleaned the printer, I need to do it now, and at intervals, for example, 1 month. We even have links to articles that show you how it's done. So for example, for the more complicated ones, like retention of the belts, we have guidance on how to do that correctly. Let's mark it as done. So now in the end, you will see scheduled clean the printer. That's in 30 days, also in 1 month. History, Jeremy Evers cleaned the printer on the 23rd of October. So also for the maintenance, you can all do that in UltiMaker Digital Factory. And here in the settings, I see an overview of the printer, what firmware version I'm using, if I'm using the stable one or the latest one. Also, I can enable firewall. So firewall, basically what it does, if you have your printer connected to with the Ethernet cable, then it's of course in your LAN network of the company, but by enabling firewall, somebody else in your organization on the same internet cannot access the printer via LAN, only via our secure cloud. You can also set a PIN code to the printer. You can do that in the digital factory, so remotely. You can set basically an access pin. So whenever somebody wants to do something with your printer, you need to put in the access pin. So you can also make it more secure, of course. That's the printer section. You can add all the printers from UltiMaker that you want, also the method line. And we're also looking into integrating other printer brands as well. But currently it's only UltiMaker or the method line. Print jobs, that's basically your complete dashboard. So here I see all the files that I've been printing. But if I go back in time, maybe half year ago, and I see a print that I want to reprint, I can just go and reprint. So even if it's already months back in time, you can still reprint it. So if you created a really nice application like 3 months ago, you cannot find it anywhere, but it's still here in the history. You can reprint and you can keep reprinting it if needed. I think that's also a really nice one. I can see what's in progress, what's in the current queue, and also, of course, the history. But besides the whole remote management, what's also really nice is the digital library. You already had a sneak peek, for example, in UltiMaker Cura, but this is basically the online version web browser. You can see all the part. You can set a template from UltiMaker Cura, or you can set, for example, an image that looks more professional. We usually see customers doing either a preview or an actual image if they have printed and implemented it. If you click on the part, you will go to its own library project file. So here you see basically some screenshots of the Cura part. You can add notes. You can even add a print submission link. So if you want to have maybe students sending in files, or maybe a group of engineers sending the same kind of application to one library, you can make a certain link, and everything that is sent to that link will be collected, for example, here in this project. As you can see here, all the files are there, documents, but maybe I have some other projects as well. Let's see, this one, no. So you can see this as a depository of files, basically, of print files. So here are the print files. If I want to print this one on the S7, I just click on this icon. I can see the compatible printers. I can start it in Geldermalsen in the office on this printer, or at the printer at home, but I do not have the correct materials in there. So yes, I can send it to the printer. If I'm gonna change the CC 0.6 and nylon CF slide in this printer, then it will automatically start printing. But here in the documents, you see images. You can even do videos, descriptions, guidelines, technical data. You can all put it in here and really collect this detailed information about the applications, submissions. So that's where all the parts end up that engineers, for example, send to a specific print submission link. And people can also comment or have basically comments on the results and add that really to the project. What's more, you can share the project. Also, you can only share the project to different kind of teams. If you don't want to share it with the complete organization, you can also do that specifically for certain teams to still have this collaboration just one by one if that is needed. Edit thumbnail. So now it's this one. I can also change it if I want. Select image, and then I can select any type of image that I would like. Do I have it? No. Let me just do it like this. Click save. Then it will take that one as thumbnail. I can also edit requirements. So I can set, is there exposure to liquids or chemicals, for example, temperature resistance, tolerance range that I need. If there's a high, medium, or low impact. I can also say here, maybe I want to have it antimicrobial. Then here, one property selected, browse compatible materials. That's already like a material selection. It goes to our material marketplace, and then it already shows materials that are basically complying to your set requirement in terms of antimicrobial. So that's also really nice. You can fill in geometry, materials, if that's needed, ABS with breakaway, for example. Complexity, maybe you say, okay, it's low complexity, you can update it. And then you basically see here a new tab with requirements. I can also calculate business value if I want, current production method, maybe CNC milling. Maybe now it costs 120 euros, lead time. Let's say, okay, it takes me 14 days. I need 20 parts of this one per year. 3D print situation, maybe the printed cost is, let's say, 10 euros printing time. Let's say 15 hours of printing parts per year. Maybe I need the same amount. You can actually say also now it enhances the equipment efficiency. So for us, it's going to be like a pretty high gain. Update. And now you also see here a business value. So you can also keep track of like the financial details of this particular application. So if you're going to really dive into the digital factory, you see that there is a lot that is possible. Definitely have a look at it. Everybody can make a UltiMaker account and already experience the digital factory in a certain bit. You can make teams if you want. You can create teams. You can specify certain printers for certain teams if you want to shield it off. And I already mentioned like you can have users. You can set the different roles, admin, member, guests, and that basically limits or adds certain rights to what somebody can do in the digital factory. You can also manage tags. So if you want to create tags for your applications, if you, for example, have a part that is for, which is assembly tool, you can give the tag to an application. And if you then search for an assembly tool, it will give you all the assembly tools that are tagged with this specific tag. That's also really nice. And also you can set, for example, print approval. So if somebody wants to start a print, but you are the manager of the whole AM, for example, and you want to have control, you can specify the print approval. So whenever somebody wants to start a print, it needs to be approved by you personally before it actually starts printing. So there are a lot of powerful management tools also in the digital factory. So we really put a lot of effort in the digital factory, really make it complete, and also offer all these really nice features for our industrial customers. And with that, I would like to thank you all for listening. If you have questions, please let me know.
Yeah, we definitely got questions here. Maybe you first.
Maybe as not so expert like everybody here, if you send a job, you call it like this,
yeah,
to a remote printer, and not the right material, not the right filament is on it, will it give a warning or not print, or will it just start printing with the material on it?
No. So also the ease of use of the UltiMaker system is that you need to specify correctly the materials, let's say. So if you pick ABS red for your sliced part, but you have ABS blue inside, it will notify you, hey, there's a different color that you have selected. So either you need to load in a different color in the printer, or adjust your Cura print file, let's say. But if you really are in need of printing, then you can also click ignore, and then it will start printing. But then you as a user made the decision to override basically this indication.
Gibt es noch weitere Fragen? Ich übersetze die auch gerne. Okay, soweit höre ich keine weiteren Fragen. Schon mal vielen Dank an Jeremy für den Vortrag. Wir freuen uns gleich auf den Impulsvortrag. Viele interessante Blicke habe ich schon beim PLP-SCF-Material gesehen. Ich denke mal, das wird auch nochmal ein spannendes Thema für gleich. Jeremy, to your direction, really thank you very much for presenting all the amazing capabilities of UltiMaker Digital Factory and UltiMaker Cura. I think this combination is really enhancing the capabilities of all the customers of UltiMaker printers. And yeah, also personally, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.